Welcome back to the John Mendola Show here at WILK. 10:15 in the morning, continuing the conversation with Electric City Baseball Softball Academy. Paul McGloin is the coach. Of course, he runs the joint. He does a pretty good job with that. And Paul, talk about the busy times for you. Where are you at in late December here with getting things ready and baseball just around the corner?
It actually slows down a little bit right now with the holidays, which I'm actually thankful for, between the academy itself and the travel season that Noah alluded to earlier, with all the stops we make throughout the country. So it'll slow down a little bit for the holidays, but then once we get through the new year, it'll start to pick up, and then mid-February it peaks and gets out of control.
Reggie Crawford, you mentioned him a little bit earlier via North Schuylkill. So let's talk a little bit more about what he has to offer. And again, you said he's headed to UConn.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, talked to Noah before. I think Noah always wanted to go to school, and I think Noah, if he has aspirations of playing baseball after college, I think if he does what I think he could do at Princeton, he's going to have a great opportunity. Reggie, his coach Nick Crawford happens to be with us today. He's done a phenomenal job, in my opinion, with not only him but coaching for the right reasons and working hard with his kids in his program. Told me that Reggie's the kind of kid that comes through maybe once in a lifetime in your program, his type of athleticism. And, you talk about his size, the fact that, left-handed pitchers are a commodity. You don't see guys left-handed in high school that can touch 94 miles an hour very often, especially one that, he could hold 7 baseballs in one hand. We have a picture. He's actually, John, I don't know if you saw that in your research, but he's one of the best swimmers in the state. But over the last 18 months decided to focus more on baseball. And then, over the first few tournaments this year just absolutely blew up. And then I think Reggie was even a little surprised at how much helium he got, where his name was then everywhere and everybody knew about him. And, everybody from Mississippi State to Alabama to, UConn and Missouri and all these schools, Coastal Carolina, are calling about him before he finally settled in on UConn. And I think that's actually a great place for him. They have an exceptional pitching coach there. They've had 5 pitchers drafted out of the last, I think, 2 years at that place. So, He's an exceptional young man. He's a great kid to be around. He's a sponge. He enjoys trying to learn as much as he can. But also, I think, we talk so much about the fact that he's a left-handed kid who could throw hard, but he could also swing it as well. So I think UConn's going to give him an opportunity to be a hitter and a pitcher out of the gate. But then, also he's been generating a lot of interest from scouts. So. At this point of his timeline of his career, he does have an opportunity of potentially getting drafted out of high school.
All right, with the further introduction, that's pretty good for Reggie Crawford. Reggie, welcome to the show today.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk about, a couple different things. The 7 baseballs in a hand. How the heck do you do that?
I don't know. Everybody just talks about my big hands, and I managed to find a way to fit all of them in my hand, so technically that would be considered the world record right now.
All right,
that's what it is in Guinness. So
all right, good, let's go for it. Let's talk about the swimming component and what you really enjoyed about that sport.
So I've been swimming since I would say 6. I've been doing competition swimming for since then. I always enjoyed it. I would always practice really, really hard, and this past year I ended up getting a state record, and it was tough getting away from swimming, but I really want to focus on baseball, and I want to train to be the best player I could be with baseball.
94 miles an hour, that's a big standout right off the bat, and not often we get to talk to a young man that could ever reach that. So talk about the heat and where that comes from.
I would say it came from swimming, actually. This was my first year with travel ball since I was 13, I would say. So I didn't really have much exposure to baseball other than high school. So I would say it primarily came from swimming and my shoulders being in shape from that.
Let's talk about your relationship with your high school coach, and he's here today, helping you out, and obviously, playing there at North Schuylkill. Big sports tradition there for the Spartans.
Yeah, we have a really strong relationship. We've been close since I was in elementary. I started getting around the team when I was in 7th grade. I was a manager for my 7th and 8th grade year. That just helped me get a feel for high school baseball. I wasn't playing, but just I was around the atmosphere, so that benefited me a little bit.
you hear stories like you every so often. You're just a manager now. Now you're playing and you're throwing 94 miles an hour. Talk a little bit about how the love of baseball kind of kept going once you started it.
So I really got the love when I was 3. I was in San Francisco, and my uncle and I were playing baseball outside of his garage. I had one of those tiny bats, and he was tossing tennis balls to me. And since then, I've just had a love for it. Like, my family's a really big baseball family, so that just helps with the passion for the game.
Take us through that big family. You got a couple siblings that are probably pretty darn active. So who's doing what?
Well, my sister, who is 19, her name's Kayla. She's going to be looking at colleges right now. She used to swim. We both stopped for a year when we were 14, and she just never got back into it. And I have a little sister that just turned 5 a few weeks ago, and she's going to be really athletic. She loves doing all kinds of sports.
I'm sure she looks up to you, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Math in the classroom, something that you enjoy or you're good at. Talk about the academic component there at North Schuylkill.
Yeah, I really enjoy math. I try to keep up with my academics as much as possible. I'm not that good on the academic side, but I just try my hardest.
Well, UConn is the place for you. So let's talk about that mix of schools that you had and why you're heading to UConn.
I felt UConn was the best decision for me. The coaches showed a ton of interest. I could play first, and I could also pitch. Hopefully, I have a chance to start as a freshman. So there were just a few components that went into it.
Playing around in the league down there in the Schuylkill League, there's some good teams that you're going to go against. You like to go against Blue Mountain, pretty good rival?
Yeah, Blue Mountain's going to be the game of the year, I would say, this year.
All right, and as far as your family supporting you, talk a little bit about everybody kind of wanting to come see you and obviously support you.
Yeah, they're really supportive families. So they try to make it to tournaments and everything as much as they can. It's hard for some of my family because, like, my uncle, he lives in San Francisco and stuff like that. So it's hard for everybody to get there, but they try their hardest.
All right, Reggie, great to see you. Congratulations on all this good stuff, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, Reggie Crawford, definitely a rare find, that's for sure. And let's get back over to Coach McGloin. And, Coach, you find guys like this all the time, and fortunate to be a part of what you're doing there at the East Coast Sandhogs and, of course, Electric City Baseball and Softball Academy.
Yeah, it's not so much finding them, unfortunately, as the coaches get in contact with us and say that, we have some players you should take a look at. And, he actually came through one of our assistant coaches, Bernie McHugh, who knows Coach Brayford pretty well, and we went down to see him, and we're like, how come nobody knows about this kid? And it was because he hadn't played travel ball in so long, and whether you like it or hate it, unfortunately, travel ball's here to stay, and that's how we can get our kids the most exposure out of our area. And so we're fortunate that people will come to us as a nonprofit organization and realize that we don't lie to our kids, and we're going to work extremely hard for them to make them become better baseball players, better people, and work to get their name out there.
All right. Well, great to see you. I hope you enjoy your Christmas and your New Year's, and thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, John. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
All right. That is Paul McGloin from Electric City Baseball and Softball Academy. Of course, the East Coast Sandhogs, and those two young men, bright futures, that's for sure. You can pick up a copy of our basketball magazine. You could do so at the Athletic Image in Wilkes-Barre. I want to thank our friends at Mendocino's Restaurant in Daleville. I want to thank Daniel J. Hughes Funeral Home, Valley Garment Care and Plains, Carbondale, the Gabriel family, AJ's Bar, Dr. Patrick Adnesio, Rooney Equipment, located in Susquehanna County, Comets Law in downtown Wilkes-Barre, right on Public Square, and the Carbondale YMCA. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk some Hanover area basketball. We'll take a timeout. Let's head out now to our local State Farm insurance agent, Frank Sirokatch break. Like a good neighbor, Frank Sirokatch is there. We'll be back on WILK.